Hi paper crafters, this is Robin from Robin's Creative Cottage. I'm so excited because today is day one of the stamp release party at my craft spot. All week long, Kimberly and the design team and I will be sharing fabulous projects that have been made with the 5 new stamp sets that have been designed. I'd like to show you the stamp set that was designed for the last stamp release party. This is Tiny Tags, and something that's brand new, Tiny Tags 2. Both these stamp sets are so much fun to use, great for tags. Let me introduce to you the brand new product that's available at my craft spot. This is the Tiny Tags metal dies. This is a great die. This die comes with 8 individual dies and coordinates perfectly with the 2 stamp sets that I just showed, the Tiny Tags and the brand new Tiny Tags 2 stamp sets. I'd like to show you how I use the dies in my Cuttlebug machine. First, I take my A plate and then my B plate, and then I take my piece of cardstock, whatever I'm going to cut out, and I put my die on upside down. And then I use my C plate, and then I roll it through, and I usually roll it forward and then back, and a couple of times if I feel like I need to do that. And then here my die images just pop right out very easily. If you find you're having trouble with your metal dies cutting well, here's a quick tip. Do the same stacking, do your A plate, your B plate, your paper, and your die upside down onto your paper. And then you might need to add a shim, and a shim is just a piece of cardstock. And you might add 1 or 2. And then again, I just run it through my Cuttlebug as I did previously, forward and back, and then a couple times. And then see if that helps. And it should pop out very easily. If you need to use 1 or 2 shims, then go ahead and do so. And then what I do with the little holes is I just use my poker tool, and if I get my paper stuck in there, I just turn them over and use those little holes to poke all of my papers out. Very easy to do. Here's a sneak peek of what the die images look like when they're cut out up close. We have one image with the scallop and one with the triangles, and then we have the solid image with the scallop down below, and then also the triangle piece with the holes, and then down below the solid piece. And then we have the solid tag, and then the same solid tag with stitching, and then a smaller tag, and then the same smaller with stitching as well. This just shows you the look of what the layered would look like with the smaller tag and the larger tag. And you can see how tiny they are, and all you need to do is just match up the holes and they'll line up perfectly. Here's the same larger tag with the small tag that has the stitching on it. And the stitching just adds a really fun look. You can also add the smaller tag over the scalloped holes, and this creates a really fun look also. There's just many possibilities using these tags, and again, these tags are the perfect size for the 2 stamp sets that I showed previously. Just a really fun design. For my project today, I have a really easy card that's fun to make. This piece of cardstock measures 6 by 3, and then I scored it at 3 inches. And then when I fold my card in half, this will give me a 3 by 3 square card. So just a really nice note card size. Now take a look at this brand new Tiny Tags 2 stamp set. There are 4 flourish designs, and I'm going to use one of the flourish designs to create a background paper on my card. So I'm using the Jenny Bowling chewing gum ink pad with my flourish design. Just going to go ahead and ink it up really well, and then I'm just going to stamp randomly onto my note card. And when I stamp, I like to go off the edges, and I'm just going to open it up, and then I can stamp easier without that extra paper in the way. So just finishing up my stamping, just to make my own designer pattern paper. From my scraps, I grab a piece of cardstock that measures 2.5 inches by 3 inches. And this is just going to go toward the bottom of my card, just to hide that part where I chose not to stamp. And then I have a little bit extra hanging over, and so I just trim that with my scissors. And then I take the crinkle ribbon from my craft spot. This is a really pretty pink, which coordinates really well with the ink pad that I chose and also the pattern paper, and I'm just going to tie a knot right here. And once I have my knot, I'll go ahead and just trim the edges. And after I've cleaned my stamps, this is how I put them away. I just lay them upside down on my mat, and I open up the plastic sheet and just line up and then just put it away. Next, I'm going to use the bracket image that coordinate really well with these little tiny one-word stamps. There's a lot of different sayings, so I just get my little stamps and put them onto my blocks, and then I'm just going to go ahead and take that same Jenny Bowling pink ink, and I'll stamp the bracket image. And then I have the word that says enjoy, and I'm just going to go ahead and just stamp that right in between the 2 brackets. And then I just have a sponge. This is 1/4 of a sponge. You can just buy these at the craft store that are round, and then I just take 1/4 of it, and then I'm just inking up just the edges just to give it a little bit more color on the edge of the tag. And then I have a piece of twine that can be purchased from my craft spot, and I'm just going to string it through and then just loop it through and tie a knot right up here on top of the knot. And I'm actually tying it loosely so it will hang, so it won't be too tight on my card. And then once I tie the knot up there, I'll just trim the edges with my scissors. And there it is. There's my super easy card that can be done in just a few minutes using the Tiny Tags 2 stamp set from my craft spot. I've made several other cards using the same method that I just showed you, but I used a different flourish, but it comes in the same stamp set. There's 4 different flourishes in the Tiny Tags 2, and these are the 4 designs. And then I just used just the same style using one of the different word stamp sets. This is another different card, more of a vintage color scheme with this one. And then I also did a few cards that are for the men in our family, either your uncle, your dad, or your brother. So these words are in this same stamp set, and I used the Tim Holtz Vintage Photo Distress ink to do the stamping, and then I just used twine to wrap around. This is the vintage twine from my craft spot. These cards are super easy to make, and I think they turned out really nice. Thanks so much for visiting me today. Have a great day, everyone.